All right, now it's time to take a look at valley jacks. These are all indicated in blue. And we're going to start with ridge beam B. Valley jacks are all number 5. And 5J is our reference. Then we're going to do 5K, 5J, and so forth. So looking at our sample worksheet, there's 5J, and that's a 10-foot total run. 5K is 2 feet less than that. That would be an 8-foot total run. 5L, 6 feet, so we're subtracting 2 feet. All right, we're looking at the mathematical rafter length here of the valley jack rafter from the framing point to framing point at the valley. We're starting with 5J because that occurs at the building line. Then we go to 5K with an 8-foot total run. You figure out your math. And then for each subsequent rafter, we're going to subtract 2 feet, 2 3/16 of an inch. And that's established from a 2-foot on center times the unit length and so forth. We have to do what's called a valley set forward. And this is 1/2 the thickness of the rafter times 1.414. This is a detailed view of this. There's your framing point. There's the hypotenuse of the triangle. And the formula, 1/2 the 45-degree thickness. We've done this before. So in our example, 3.5-inch rafter thickness, 1.75 times 1.414 equals 2.5 inches. Then we move to the tail cut. That's a single 45-degree bevel cut. And we've also looked at this before. That's the cheek cut. So this is 1/2 the rafter thickness, which equals 3/4 of an inch. And here's a close-up view of that. Remember to set your framing square to 6/12. And now the valley jacks at ridge beam C. The span is 12/8. All right, we're using 5A as our reference point. Then we're moving to 5B. This is 5B1. And then 5C is going to be the same on both sides. Same with 5D, so those will just be mirrored. 5B is the oddball. And we move to 5F. Again, those are all mirrored. 5G and so forth. Let's take a detailed look here. We're going to use this to help us with our rafter layout measurement. 6'4" total run. And that's from the 10-foot total run minus 3'8". So there's 5A as a reference. You take 2 feet, you subtract that from 3'8", and you come up with 1/8 for 5B. Five C will be 2 feet plus 3/8, and so forth. 5D will be 2 feet on top of that, so each one we're adding 2 feet in length, in total run length. For 5G, we're starting with the 6'4" total run. This is at the building line. And then we're going to go into 5F. We're adding 2 feet length to that. 5H, we're subtracting 2 feet length. And then we want to establish the mathematical length This is the layout along the supporting rafter, the shortened valley rafter length. And that mathematical length is 3 feet. So there's the math for that. Framing point layout along the valley is the run, which is 2 feet, times the unit length, which is 18. Remember, this is going at a 45-degree angle. And that's going to give us a mathematical length of 3 feet. So these are your layout points along your shortened valley rafter. Reference 5A. We'll take a good look at here now. 5A, total run is 3.8 times unit length of 13.42. Gives you a rafter length, mathematical rafter length of 4 foot 1 1/8. 5B, total run of 1.8, and so forth. You get the idea, hopefully. And there's the difference of 2 feet, 2 7/8 if you figure out your 2 foot on center times your unit length. Here's on your worksheet, rafter 5A, 5B, so once you've got your unit length established, it's pretty easy from there. And refer you to C210. This is your valley-to-valley cripple jack. And obviously this goes from a valley to a valley. And we can just determine that length by 2 feet plus 2 feet, so that's a 4 foot run, 4 foot total run. And there's your math. We're going to look at a detail view now. Okay, there it is. Let's take a look at this 3D illustration here. Valley-to-valley cripple jack. Goes between your supporting valley rafter and your shortened valley rafter. And here's the layout, the rafter layout for that. Mathematical rafter length goes between your framing point at the upper valley and your framing point at the lower valley. And we already figured out what our mathematical rafter length was. Framing square is set at 6/12. And we have to figure out the setbacks. Half the valley thickness times 1.414. Cheek cut. We've got 2 cheek cuts. They're going to be identical. Well, they're going to be facing the opposite direction, but they're both single 45-degree bevel cuts. Half the rafter thickness. And we've seen this detail before. Here's a close-up view of that. Again, they face in opposite directions. And here it is again, cheek cut, half the thickness of your rafter. And finally, we're going to look at a hip-to-valley cripple jack. This is indicated in yellow, and you guessed it, goes between your hip and your valley. Number 7, these are both the same. There's 2 of those. The unit run is 10 feet. The unit length is 13.42, so that equals 11 feet 2 3/16 inch. And we're going to zoom in here to this area. Notice there's bevel cuts. Notice there are bevel cuts at either end of the rafter, which face in the same direction. So this is very similar to the hip to valley rafter, except those face in opposite directions.